Binghamton here today. Right now, we have a board of 4 with 1 absent and one with, I don't know. No, that's the absent.
The absent one's on the way.
Yeah, the absent one's on the way. But we're 1 and 1 now, every time, because we're missing one.
Oh, yes, let's go.
Yeah.
Then we'll change.
So make sure your cell phones are off or on vibrate. And does anybody need the privilege of the floor right now?
Mr. President?
Dan Livingston, how did I know?
Wait, you knew? I've never asked for the privilege of the floor.
I know.
I just wanted to express my my concern over the fact that the board participated in reprimanding Charlie Pearsall for talking to the press, and that the owners were not in whole consulted on the matter. That the village board and the Binghamton City Council were not part of that process.
Really? I'd turn around, I'd rather let Al go first and then,
Well, I mean, in terms of whether to consult with the owners, there's a couple of issues there. First of all, the owners aren't the hiring agents, and neither is the board, the one who hires and fires plant personnel. And second of all, it is a personnel issue. So I don't know how you can be aware of it, but personnel matters typically are not publicized.
Well, I'm aware of it, and I just wanted to express my concern.
Go ahead.
I'm not the head of the personnel committee, and with the plant superintendent, for as long as I've been doing this, personnel matters have been private and handled in-house, specifically because they have to. As far as I know, civil service and New York State, we can get in a lot of trouble if anybody finds out what goes on in a personnel, especially a disciplinary proceeding. It's supposed to be strictly for the individual. What was said and what the repercussions are between the supervisor and the individual, and his personal jacket, where the results of this would be kept for, I got a flag. The results of the disciplinary action are kept in his personal file, which is personal and private to the individual and the superintendent. We shouldn't even talk about it. Period.
Well, my understanding is that it was done, if not at the direction of the mayors, that it was done with their participation. So
Mayors didn't influence my decision one iota. They had nothing to do with me.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to go into executive session because Mr. Livingston brought up a personnel matter that should be discussed only in executive session.
I agree.
To do it in an open session is wholly improper, and we shouldn't be entertaining this in an open session.
that's all right. I wasn't looking to necessarily have a discussion about it or to bring more out about it. I just wanted to.
But you did it in an open session.
I didn't ask a question. I was just expressing my concern.
You
And that
being
was
a person that we could have waited till after the privilege of the floor during the tail end, so we could have gone into executive session, so we didn't have to move anybody out.
well, I've never addressed this meeting before, so
I
I'm sorry.
I understand what you're saying. Me personally, I understand what you're trying to say.
And I don't need anybody to say any more about it. I just wanted to formally express my concern over that particular meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. You still want to make that for later, Ed?
No, since he's withdrawn, he's
Yes,
just
okay.
comment.
Anybody else with the privilege of the floor? Nobody? The meeting minutes approval, Ed?
There is no.
Okay, that was
Well,
good.
we're glad to see Laura Lee back because next time I'm sure there will be.
Now let's get to the other arm. The fiscal officer reports, Charlie.
Okay, the first thing is the cash balances. We have $7 million, $7.1 million in the bank. That's up about $700,000 from the beginning of the year. We did not get out the second, or the third, actually it would be the second quarter billings that normally would have gone out in, actually the third quarter in July, due to a couple of different issues. They are all out in August. And I'm not sure if we actually started collecting some money or not. I didn't verify that this morning. As for the monthly reports, there's a couple line items to speak about. The personal service line, looks like you guys are running about $300,000 under budget for the year. The report that we sent out to you on the salary adjustment / pool line show that you spent $10,657. After verifying that, that is not correct, and the adjusting entry was made to correct that. OT is up a little bit from last year. I still think you'll be all right on a budget standpoint, but you're up about $4,000 from the prior year. And lastly, your health insurance line, which is J9060, 5800C, looks like you have $40,480, which wouldn't give you enough money to pay for the fourth quarter. That's not correct, because you do put money into a bank account, and that's not accounted for here. And once we correct that, those funds will be there. On a revenue line, the IWPP line looks like you're not going to meet the number that you budgeted of $750-some thousand, I believe it was. Actually $1 million. Year to date, you're at $250,000, and I believe that's for 7 payments from Frito-Lay is in there. I believe is what the number. My memory serves me correct. So that number is going to be a little bit lower than anticipated. The purchase orders look fine, and I'll leave the project. Ed, you want to speak about that?
Sure. In your folder, you have the monthly financial report for the lead agency projects. You have both the chart report and you have the draft report. And these are through the end of July. This month, in terms of construction, demolition, and change orders, there were 2 added to PC construction, about $204,000 in the aggregate. Change orders are still running within what I'm told in the industry is acceptable. It's 3.1% of the base contract amounts. And to date, approved for payment on the professional services, the engineering construction management is 94.7% of the contracted total. And on the construction demolition, the approved payments, including retainage, is 92%. When you take that retainage out, because it isn't paid out yet, it's 88.1%. So the project continues to move along. On the chart report, you have the history since July 2011 on the professional services and since January 2012 on the construction demolition. If anybody has any questions, my contact information is in these reports. At the bottom of page 2 and about 2/3 of the way down on page 4. The draft report presents in a more pictorial type format the dry numbers that I just went through from the chart report. The first page is a set of pie charts. The top left is the overall. The bottom center is the professional services, and the right-hand side is the construction demolition. And you want to,
She's already doing that. She's signing it in.
your folder runs on the table there.
Blue.
The green part, which we see every month, has been getting bigger. That's the amount that's actually paid or approved to pay in the various graphs. In the engineering graph, it's the purple color. Then on pages 2 through 4, we have line bar graphs for each of the contracts. They give you a kind of a depiction of where these contracts are in relation to their approved contract balances, and also where the scale is the same. You can see which contracts are bigger than others. Like the general contractors have on page 3 their own individual scales because their contracts would go off the page if we didn't do it that way. All the other contracts on the same scale. Likewise on the professional services, the construction manager has a unique scale on his paragraph as well. Again, my contact information is at the bottom of the second and the fourth pages on this if anybody has any questions or they have questions now you want to ask.
When the hell is it done?
That's not part of the financial report. Thank you.
Anybody else got anything for Charlie? If not, Chuck, brother, I'm sorry. You got anything else to add to
I
it, Chuck?
do not. George?
So let's see, GHD's coming in at 4.
George, we're here now.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't even see it.
Quiet as a church mouse.
Okay, all right, so you can start early so you can get out early.
That would be great, thank you.
Okay?
All right. Charlie?
Yeah, set up that somebody undid what I did. And I
Well,
don't
no,
know what they did.
all Livingston did was turn it off because it was getting...
That's your right.
In other words, Laura Lee and I have to get out of the way.
Okay, so I'm here with Rick and James White, and we're going to give an update on the WQIP, or the Water Quality Improvement Project. So we'll give a status of the work completed. If we can, I do appreciate Charlie setting up a video. We do have a flyover that was done by Adam at the plant with his drone. So many thanks, Adam, for doing that. We'll open it up to some questions, and there are some...
Ask Dan what he did.
Yeah, I mean, the video is not necessary, but it'd be nice if we could...
When you turn the lights on.
It says warming up.
Run the slider down.
Oh, there we go.
Then there are some unforeseen conditions out there that we'd like to talk about. And then outside of the WQIP, I've got just a quick statement about the Environmental Benefits Project. All right, so in terms of status, JB Excavation started on time. They started the river work July 15th per permit. They weren't allowed into the river before July 15th, so they started on time. The work areas was divided up into 3 sections, and to date, JB Excavation is actually complete with the grading on the bottom 2 sections. And he's built his cofferdams to protect those 2 sections, and has completed the grading. And you'll see this in the video. He has nearly completed reestablishing. What?
Are you ready to run the video yet? Yeah, I know, but
Okay.
he hasn't looked up to let me know that he's...
Okay, in a moment.
There you go.
Yep. He is he's reestablished or nearly completed reestablishing the middle island in terms of building it with building it back in with stone. It certainly is not done. It needs a fair amount of the engineered log jams on it as well as vegetation, but the structure is getting there. And actually today, it's not even in this video, you can actually see a little bit of it. He's beginning to build the cofferdam up into the upstream section of his work. So just to give you a lay of the land here, actually we'll just start with the still photo for a moment. Right where Charlie just had his pointer is the upper island, so that's where Jeff or JB Excavation is working to bring his cofferdam in and protect that. And as you go downstream, you're seeing a very large dry area. That's the Full Hollow. That's much of what's going to be excavated. That's a lot of where the sediment from Full Hollow Creek deposited. And then you're seeing the cofferdam kind of running perpendicular to the river flow, and then you're seeing the bottom two islands. Right. And then sort of that L-shaped on the left-hand side of the south side of the river. That's what I called areas 1 and 2, and it is filled with water right now, but Jeff had gone in there and done his excavation to grade. So yeah, Charlie, if you could just hit play on that. All right, so we're passing over that cofferdam in his roadway, right? And that's the middle island. And you can see gravel on the south side. That's the reestablishment of the island. Right. And here's the bottom section. And again, the excavation is done within the watered area. So just a quick video. Again, thank you, Adam. All right. I guess.
So John?
Yes, sir.
I just want to ask you a question. Scroll it back up, Charlie.
Yeah, you just might have to. Oh, okay.
Yeah, what I'm looking at is the flow from our place. What are we trying to do? Hit that center and let it go both ways? As far as the flow goes?
Now or in the future?
In the future.
Yeah, actually the hope is that the plant flow will come out and, well, actually, to take a step back, I mean, the point of the WQIP is to have more equal flow on the north side and the south side of the island.
Instead of hugging the south side of the bank.
Yeah. So,
I just wanted to see.
So, but when the plant flow comes out, when the work is done, because there will be more natural river flow on the south side, we'll have better mixing of the effluent with river water. Right. So I would never expect the plant water to actually kind of be on the north side of the islands. Right? Once it gets beyond the islands downstream, I think that's when you'll get more of a mixing of the full width of the river.
Because I had so many complaints from people that do walk the riverbanks and telling me on the south side it looks like a garbage dump over there. So that would help the flow take it downstream further.
Yes, it will. Any other questions? Okay, then on to unforeseen conditions and potential change orders. There are actually two unforeseen conditions or change conditions that will lead to a change order, and then there is another change order that's the Hall Road, and I'll get into a little bit more detail there. But in terms of the change conditions, two of them. One is that the bedrock elevation is at a higher elevation than anticipated over actually it's the upper end and the lower end. So that will be a change condition that's going to require engineering and some change to JB Excavation's contract. Right now, We're estimating that engineering change to be $23,000. The change to the contract is, actually, we're not expecting any change to the contract value. It'll just be a change of work. That's what we're anticipating right now. We haven't, obviously, we haven't been able to show a redesign to JB Excavation, so we don't, I can't confirm that, but right now we think it'll be a no-cost change. And then the other changed condition is that middle island that I spoke of, it's eroded about 15 feet further downstream than in the original survey that was done a few years ago. So that's just evident that the islands continue to erode. James, actually, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think there's any engineering costs associated with the...
Correct.
Yeah, okay. All right, so, and in the end, there'll be a change in the contract in terms of quantities, but the quantities will probably be a wash in terms of dollars. And what I mean by that is there was always, in the design, there was meant to be an export of material off-site to Murphy's. But now that there's more material needed to build the islands, we'll have less export. So we'll have a savings with, let's say, transportation of that material. However, placing the material to make the islands is, I'll say, relatively precise work, right? He's not just slogging stuff around. So there may be some extra dollars for JB Excavation to put that extra stone in place. But again, it may be a wash because we're not hauling it. Okay. So those are the two change orders related to changed conditions.
Well, let's talk about the engineering design for the bedrock.
Sure.
The 23,000.
Yeah.
What are you trying to give us in that study?
Sure. So the bedrock is higher than we anticipated at the downstream island and at the upstream island.
I understand
Yeah.
that.
So, and all right, and part of that design are the engineered log jams, right? So those are engineered features, structural features that were originally designed to be pile driven, let's say, the timber pile driven into earthen material. And there's not enough earthen material to support those piles, so they have to be redesigned.
You want to anchor them somehow on the bedrock without using the earth material for a bonding agent?
Exactly. And that is the heart and soul, or the structure that's going to keep those islands in place long term, right? So it is a significant engineering effort to make sure we get those log jams in there properly.
What you're looking to do is to turn around and create the island bigger and put more of the vegetation on it, am I correct?
So from that still shot that you're seeing, you're seeing, the gray areas, the rock around the existing island that's sort of reestablishing the larger shape of it. And then on top of that stone will be laid topsoil and vegetation, and also not log jams per se, but logs will be kind of inserted in there for further protection. But on critical parts of the island that are going to be hit with flow velocity from the river, that's where the engineered log jams are established. And are there 12 or 13 across the length? 12 engineered log jams across the series of islands.
You don't know how deep that bedrock is, do you?
We do. James does.
Yeah, so at the lower end of the site, bedrock's close to the elevation of the riverbed, so the rock's functionally the riverbed at that lower island. At the upper island, rock is a few feet below the existing riverbed now, whereas we were anticipating to have about 10 or more feet based on the borings that we had available. Yeah. And then about half of those log jams, the bedrock's at or below what we anticipated, and no change necessary.
Charlie, do you have the change orders listed in your business manager's report that we're supposed to vote on this today to ratify?
I thought we already approved.
When? I don't think so.
I don't have it listed, and there's a work order and a change work order.
Yeah, I mean, can we get that information so we can make the motions?
They were available for review. I'm not sure where they've been processed, and I can dig them out if you want to.
Right, I figured it'd be in the board folder, so I didn't bring that with me.
Right, and yeah, just so everybody knows, these change orders or work directives that Mr. Crumb's talking about. There was, basically from the last contract, there was a violation in the SWIP. The contractor left soils unprotected. Because JD Excavation was just beginning to work in the area, we asked him to come in and lay down a straw mat to protect the exposed soil. And if I remember correctly, maybe that was like $2,200 that he was looking for.
$2,130.
There you go. George knows it down.
And that's a reasonable amount for doing what they did. But the thing is, I just don't believe that we should have come to it. I think we should pay this contractor for somehow to get it redeemed from the previous contractor that did not turn around and meet their obligations and put it up there when that their road was being built.
All right, and actually, I'm not going to change subjects, but there is another change order that's likely going to come to JB Excavation that should be a deductive change order from street. So we can talk about that one
I'm
in a
doing
bit.
one matter at a time.
Yep, absolutely.
Get them
Yep.
in the same thinking that I am.
Yep.
I just can't believe that the bedrock was missed though when they did the first study.
So we had something close to 30 borings, and the elevation that rock was found at the lower island was higher than any of those 30 borings.
Yeah, you're like every engineering firm, you only do it in the good places. No, just, I understand how tough it is to locate in this.
So in addition to the change order to lay down straw, there's a work, forgive me, I don't think I have the terminology right, but we've given Jeff, or JB Excavation, a work directive to put the warning signs on the island. So that was not part of his original contract. Yep, so he is going to give us a price for that, and we'll turn that into a formal change order.
Okay.
So those were the two quote-unquote change orders that we just talked about.
Oh, you got it?
Yeah.
Charlie, he doesn't need it now.
No, I needed it to get the data.
And then,
I make a motion to approve change order number 1 to the water quality improvement contract with JB's Excavation in the amount of $2,334.38, which is to modify the SWWPP installation on the work site. and that money be paid from budget line JH 8130.555.555 DEC Water Quality Improvement Project Grant J0001.
Second. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried, 501.
And the next motion would be to approve at this point, subject to finalization into a change order, the work change directive number 1 in the amount of $2,000 with JB's excavation for 1/8 signs in the river. And to cover that against budget line JH 8130.555.555.J0002 with the WQIP grant number 2.
Second.
Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried 501. Now, I just want to ask the board here a question, because I do believe that the other contractor was supposed to have the protection of the map. How do we leave a footnote so that we can turn around and get reimbursed for it somehow? Because otherwise, we're going to forget about it.
Madam Chair, aren't we taking the benefit of an abandoned, SWWPP?
They're giving us credit for it and that stuff, and I understand where you're going. But what I'm saying is, what happened if we got fined for not having it up and that stuff? Why wasn't it done when the other contractor was responsible to do it in his scope of work, is what I'm saying.
You don't know that it wasn't done and it didn't deteriorate over time. You have to maintain.
The silt fencing doesn't deteriorate. That's all I'm saying.
Along the river, it's exposed.
Well, then it's their duty to maintain it until they're off-site. Am I correct, Mr. Lane?
Sounds reasonable.
But there was a gap in the time between when they left the site and when JB's excavation started. That's my point.
Even though they left the site, that their determination of leaving the haul road wasn't determined. Matter of fact, I don't even know if you got a credit back for not removing it yet or not. So I believe it should have been in place until that time. And that's my feeling now. I realize it's a small amount, but they all add up, whatever. So, okay, so nobody's got any idea, I'll just log it in the back of my head.
Another potential future change order for JD Excavation, and this will be a cost change to JD Excavation's contract, is to remove that haul road. So the idea is that it would be a deductive change order from the Streeter contract, the flood wall contract, because it is in their contract to remove that haul road. So the plan is that owner and construction manager will work with Streeter to do a deductive change order. But that value, or approximately that value, would then be put on to as an additive to JB Excavation's contract to actually remove the haul road. In addition to the actual physical work, the construction work, there is going to be some engineering to remediate soils where they were disturbed in making the haul road. And it's also anticipated that that will come out of Streeter's contract as a deductive change order as well, and come over to, let's say, GHD and the geotechnical engineer of record for the flood wall, which is Haley and Aldridge. We really, when Streeter built that haul road, we're pretty sure that they disturbed the natural soils where the wall was designed to. So those soils need to be mitigated, and we need the geotechnical engineer of record back kind of in the project to make sure that the soils are mitigated to their design intent.
Was that consist of topsoil and special seed?
I'm going to just say engineered soil, right? So
Yeah.
there are places along the length of the sheet pile where we know that Streeter did excavation and needs to be filled with engineered backfill. And then we do think that there was a compaction of soil just due to the heavy stone, which is actually a good thing. But what it's done is kind of taken some of the depth away of the soil. So some soil might need to be rebuilt up and compacted.
Now, we're talking about the Hall Road.
Yep.
Now, the board and us, we all discussed thinking that the Hall Road would be the greatest thing to leave intact for us so we could service, but I believe that you mentioned something about the flow from our outfall, that might be in the way or something that would cause a direct flow.
Well, yeah, certainly, like if you're thinking of using the Hall Road to get out to the sediment trap from Hollow Creek that's designed as part of WQIP, yeah, your outfall will always be in the way. You'll always have to you'd have to figure out a way to get over your outfall. Right.
So you can find a non-costly way of keeping that road there so we can turn around and use it to go back and service it when we have to.
Yeah, so the challenge,
I'm sure we're
George,
good.
John can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we can get certification of that flood wall if we leave it there. We have to backfill it with not topsoil, but more impervious materials. And we have to have a frost width and a depth. And we wanted to keep the Hall Road, but after I listened in while John talked to consultant, we can't do it. We'll never get it certified.
And if we don't get it certified, that impacts our ability to close out the FEMA grant and get the final amount of that grant.
That's why John's got to remove it.
No, and I understand that, and I think John explained that to me, but I was just looking to turn around and mention it to start something, to see what we can do possibly, because isn't that the easiest way to get in and dredge it every so often? Because you're going to have another buildup in 5 years, am I wrong or right?
I'm not sure the frequency, but the plan right now is to
Let
come.
me put it this way, and the only thing I'm saying, how drastically did this change from 3 years ago?
Yep.
All I'm saying that everything washes down from the Susquehanna on the top, and it keeps pushing and pushing and pushing. So I'm assuming this is going to be a maintenance problem to keep everything flowing where it's supposed to flow. And all I'm doing is looking into it. I'm not saying we're going to do it, but as long as we're here talking about it, I just want to remind you this is on the back burner also.
What's our relationship with Streeter right now?
It's a contract between Streeter and the city and village.
Yeah, I know.
Right? And
Are they contentious with us right now, or are they contending? I mean, are they aware that there's going to be a deduction?
Yes,
in their
yeah,
contract?
they are.
And we're working with them, and we're trying to make sure that we cover this cost before we close them out.
Right.
Jen, you said there's going to be a portion of that needs to be maintained at the end of the creek.
Yep, there's a sediment trap, a gravel trap.
Isn't there a haul road on the west end?
Well, the plan, and it's okay by DEC to run down Full Hollow Creek with your maintenance equipment. So that's what the plan is. And, you know, we all know Full Hollow Creek, you know, it runs dry a fair amount of the time, so getting equipment down there is not a problem. Yeah, so I think that covers WQIP. Mr. Colbert, may we please submit a amendment to engineering for review by the board for the extra engineering costs associated with the unforeseen conditions? No, before your next meeting
Okay.
for review.
Just give us a broad scope of it and that stuff, what they intend to do for the approximate $23,000. Am I mistaken in that quote? It was about $23,000
Yes.
for engineering.
Okay.
If we do that, then probably should have no problem. We're not delaying this. The study doesn't delay anything, does it? This extra engineering, or does it?
No.
It'll keep things moving along.
So as long as the project's moving on, I'm quite happy with what I see out there.
Thank you.
I don't know if anybody else would, okay?
Yeah, so because this is a fairly short duration project and JB Excavation's moving pretty fast, maybe have 15 minutes at your next meeting.
You turn around and send it before so we can all review
Yep.
what you're doing it for, and I'm sure at the next meeting, we will give you a 4 o'clock session.
All right, thank you.
Okay, no, thank you.
All right, and then just finally on
You
my...
said that was it.
No, I got one last thing, the environmental benefits project. So it's a consent order requirement, and the date worked out to be, I think, June 28th, where we needed to have a EBP, Environmental Benefits Project plan into the DEC. And at that point, the Soil and Water Conservation District's report for Fuller Hollow Creek was draft. So I called it a preliminary EBB plan and had the municipalities, the owners, the board, sign the plan. Informally, the DEC came back to me and said, hey, we need something that's more final. And just a few days ago, the district finalized their Fuller Hollow Creek report, and I was able to be very specific and pull out one project to do as the EBP. And it is one of the highest priority projects according to the district. So I have rewritten the letter plan for the EBP and highlighted that one specific project, and I'm going to circulate it for signatures like I did the preliminary. And I've got a clean copy here.
I've got the original also.
Okay, all right, so.
I looked at it.
Okay, yeah, so it's essentially the same letter. It holds us to the same obligations, in funding it if we approve the design and then paying that money to the district. Really, the only difference is instead of being general about 4 projects, I am specific about the one project.
Yeah, okay, the thinking of the one project is exactly where?
Yeah, I'm not that familiar with the Fuller Hollow Creek. James probably is. It's up near the Stair Park.
The description
Yeah.
of it, it's up in the upstream region, just downstream of Stair Park. It's an entrenched channel, and there's active bank failures and erosion. In this report, that was sent to us, some pretty graphic pictures there. It's about a 500-foot long stretch of the stream as part of this FH 7800 grade control project. And there would be installation of engineered large wood and or rock to establish grade control, raise the stream bed levels, and improve the bank stability. And the project estimated to cost between $150,000 and $250,000 in this engineering report, and our contribution is limited to $50,000 under the consent order.
And I think we need George to sign off on that.
Right, well, we need to make a motion. No, I'm happy to do it. Yeah, when you're ready.
Yeah, okay, well, I'm just looking here before, we were gonna try to use our money and that stuff to do an upgrade. I believe the board thought it was our responsibility from the bridge down through the mouth and to rip-wrap everything. Now, if you turn around and walk that area, and I've done an awful lot of work up through there, there's more than that. As a matter of fact, it starts up a lot higher, where people are losing their banks to their back property, and you go down 40 feet, and everything is sliding in, and it's just bringing the material around on a deep thing. I'm not talking about these little things that you're showing the pictures. If you go up higher, you'll see where it all speeds up. Now, when Sandy...
That's what we're talking
Huh?
about. We're talking about the headwaters because this project will mitigate where it starts, so it doesn't have the momentum as much when it gets downstream.
I'm saying it starts even higher than that, where it's fed off from another deeper place. That's all I'm saying. It turns around, veers, and it starts going to following Bun Hill, going across and up deeper, where people are starting to lose the back of their property, and they asked our company to turn around and do it. And what they're doing is they're making and straightening out the channel so that it moves faster. And that's not what we want to do. With Sandy Lisloff, when she was here, she tried to implement something, and then she left, of course, and never, where we can somehow slow the water down by assuming Binghamton going up that way to do some type of a widening in a coffer dam system to slow the area down. And
They're actually part of the district's final report includes those measures in
okay, so
the
this
upper
is the first
reaches.
step of it.
Yeah, you know, in terms of, so yeah, in the upper reaches, there are going to be, I'll say, less structural type projects that are meant to slow the water down. I think the district put a priority on this one section because it is highly eroded and it continues to erode, and they figured if they can structurally repair this, that's a project that they can do right away.
It would help us from
And
dredging the river all the
it will.
time. I definitely agree.
And the last thing that John said is really crucial, that they can do it right away.
Yes.
Because we have a time requirement under our consent order for the project that we fund to be done.
Okay,
Yep.
all right. Go ahead, Ed, make the motion.
So I make a motion that we approve the August 12, 2019 letter that's drafted by John Legorga of GHD to Tara Blum, the regional water engineer for Region 7, refining the prior environmental benefits project proposal submitted on June 28, 2019 to encompass the Tioga County Soil and Water Conservation District's project FH-7800, which is a grade control project in the Fuller Hollow Creek Channel immediately downstream for Scare Park. And that we get an opportunity to review the plans when they're put out to bid, and then we would fund it according to the consent order requirements. And we authorize our chairman to sign this letter on behalf of the board.
Second. Seen any discussion? No? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, carried, 5-0.
Do you want a second one, Tom?
You?
Yes, you can sign two of them.
Do you?
No, actually, if you don't mind, I'll take this and get it. Actually, maybe Mr. Crum, it's easier for you to give it
I think
to.
where I'm taking it is gonna
Yeah, okay.
get at least another one for.
Yeah, okay, very good. Yeah, it's in good hands with you.
And then Kathy will take it to Jason.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep, good plan.
I should probably do that tomorrow too.
Yes.
As long as Mayor Hughes is around.
No, the one thing that I want to say when they go up there, because the vessel has been given permission to turn around, and people are starting to turn around where their banks are eroding. They're taking the cobbles out of there and they're pushing it, and they're pushing the stream on the other side away from their property, and they're straightening it up. They're taking bends out, which turns around and makes the water speed a lot faster, and then it causes more damage as you're going down. So that's all I'm trying to say. I know whether he agrees with me or not, he always shakes his head.
I agree with you that straightening
You are 100%
creek,
correct.
increases velocities.
Just like our flood wall, when it comes, it's going to speed it up and there'll be no more castle gardens. No.
They might exist.
Okay, well, it narrows the channel up. Okay.
All right, thank
Very
you.
good. Hey, no, thank you. Is anything else you gentlemen want to say, or both of you happy?
Happy.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
There was a ring.
Dan, will you show Charlie how to turn
Yeah.
that thing off?
Oh, I know how to get it on.
Thank you. Did I get you out early enough?
Yeah, that was great, thank you.
You owe me big one.
I appreciate the time, thank you.
It's cool. The fans go in. Let me make sure.
Too many. Two or three. Just give them this year.
Charlie?
So it's a little different.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
Everything on my business manager list is on the agenda, so if you write down this. We're still waiting on jar testing for polymer. We did have a representative from Polydyne, Drew, who is our new area field rep, come and visit the facility, and he and Craig toured around to get an idea of what may be needed. We will have to go out for bid, but certainly it's helpful to have some upfront information for them. There's still, I believe, 3 polymers. We're not sure exactly what we're going to need, and we don't have anything to test at the moment. I prefer to Craig for...
Yes, he's gonna have to come back and do some jar testing for the active flow system, CEPT, and digestive sludge. So we may use the same polymer for active flow and CEPT, but he doesn't know if that's the case yet. So that would be a good thing if we could, because the tanks over there are sized so that we, once again, can take a full load of polymer, but one tank for CEPT is 3,000 gallons, and the other tank for active flow is 2,000. So if we do use the same polymer, we can take a full load of polymer. And it's more cost effective.
The DEC penalty, to my knowledge, we will still owe for August, and we have enough in the budget to cover that. We received a payment from E-Systems Group for an IWPP penalty, $150, which is, to my knowledge, the first time we have actually invoked the new penalty system and actually received payment, so it did work. That's good news, I guess. Bad news that had.
Have you been able to create some kind of log on the annual permit fee?
I have
where
not.
it's been paid or not paid, so we could just double check?
I only see a monthly number for the revenue, which includes all Frito-Lay and all. I can't see any detail in it, so I don't know if it includes more than Frito-Lay. We have to have some. I don't know if Michelle has a log. She's been out for 3 weeks.
Right. No,
I assume she
that.
does.
I understand that.
So
No, I mean, there's a receipts book, so you would have it in there.
I don't know where that is, so until she gets back, I wasn't able to get on to see.
Charlie, you don't have detail capability?
I can't go down now.
Chuck, he's very limited in what he can do, unfortunately.
The system administrator message every time I click on it.
I want to make another comment on the DEC penalty. The way you wrote it in here, hoping we are notified by the DEC when we can stop, that's not how it works, okay? It's based on the discharge monitoring report that our superintendent fills out that tells us whether we complied or didn't comply in a given
Third of
month.
it is that way, for the CBO,
For the
CBOD and the
CBOD,
TSSF, and how those are. But when we have satisfactorily completed phase 1 and phase 2, it's going to be up to the DEC's determination that we have
Wow.
satisfactorily completed phase 1 and phase 2.
But there's also these certification forms that are signed by both mayors and the board chair. And so that when that gets signed for the phase 1, which is, hopefully the one that's coming up by the end of the month, I would say that's an indication at that point that
Historically, the flood ball didn't work that way, but we said we're almost ready, and the DEC said that doesn't count. So we had considered it solved and the
No, no,
DEC
no,
did not
but I'm
consult.
saying, when those forms are signed, it will be completed. It won't be, we're almost completed. It has to be, it has to be checked, that it's completed. If the form gets signed and it's an interim report that says, we're not there yet, but we're almost there, then yeah, you gotta keep paying. I understand.
Can I make a comment?
Sure.
Today with our meeting with DEC,
Right.
they basically agreed if we're in operation by the 31st, we've met the intent. And that we're going to send that to them in written language
The 31st of what month?
this month.
Thank you.
And I have every reason to believe we're going to make it right now.
Let me know. 'Cause I have to request the check before the end of the month.
Craig and Elliot are going to make sure we do.
Really?
And they went into a little bit more on the establishment biology too, right? For the government to give us time frame to meet the new permit limits to go into effect on the 1st of September. I think they were talking 60 to 90 days.
60 to 90 days.
So that was good.
That's really, it didn't make it like 30 minutes.
Well, that changes the outlook of my next meeting of the board.
So I want to make sure we cover that before we got too far down the line.
So we do have enough to pay one more round of $15,000, but if we don't have that much, it will depend on, there's three components. So it's the CBOD and TSS. We actually achieved one of those this month. Don't want to steal Craig's thunder, but that's good news, although we still owe the penalty because it's in your board.
Right.
And we have phase 1 and phase 2. So we may buy a month if we only have to pay a single phase 2 penalty.
Do that, and if for some reason it doesn't turn out the way we are, just call a special meeting.
I mean, you need us at this meeting in order to have time to get it through the legislative bodies, right?
If we achieve, if it's only $10,000 that we owe the end of this month, for August, we have enough to buy another month.
If.
So yes, so how risky is the work?
I mean, another option is that we go for 30,000. And if we need more in November, we'll go back again and just say, well, we thought the construction would be farther along and it's not. And, we don't control the construction, so here we are.
Okay, so what do you think? Somebody want to make a motion to put an extra 30,000 in from wherever?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's extra, it's a necessary expense. But I would make a motion that the board approves a budget transfer in the amount of $30,000 from contingency J8130.55000 to the fines penalty line J8130.54802 in relation to upcoming consent order stipulated penalties in the DEC.
Second.
Discussion?
How much money is in the contingency?
$178,600.
Charlie, you got enough money to pay this September
Yes.
when you don't have enough to pay in October?
That's right.
Okay. So George did make a recommendation, you guys do what you're doing now, and then if it doesn't happen by August 31st, you can send it to both councils on September 2nd. We'll know by then. That'd be that first Monday in September. That would give them, they'll have it, that money moved before your...
So you're telling us to...
No, I'm saying do what you gotta do here.
Yeah,
okay?
right, okay.
And then-
But in that case, so we're gonna
Instead of
use-
sending it down for the next meeting, okay, which would be at the end of August, wait till the first meeting in September.
Okay.
That's
As
all.
far as we know, we're going to need to pay the phase 2 penalty through December, at least.
Okay.
Okay.
And the CBOD, TSS, either or, stipulate a penalty is, who knows?
That comes and goes.
I mean, I think it's great, what superintendent, assistant superintendent, and the operating staff have been doing. But you gotta remember, the U's not in session right now, so the wastewater influent is different than it's gonna be in a normal week.
Yes, Dan?
I just wanted to remind you guys that the last time a request was made to the Binghamton City Council, it got held up coming out of the work session because they couldn't get enough signatures to take it out of the committee. So I just wanted to remind you of that as you're thinking through the timing of asking for the money, because that may come into play again. I'm not entirely sure. I wasn't part of the conversation that led to that being. I mean, there was obviously I was part of the work session, but I don't know exactly why the members of that particular committee were averse to letting it out and why it took so long. So just keep that in mind.
I don't think any of us know that.
Sure. Well, I'm just saying, if you're thinking you might be able to edge it and wait until, September to ask for it, you might just.
We're not,
Okay.
but it's up to you whether you're gonna do it.
Well, it's not up to me alone.
Well, no, I understand that. Okay. Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried, 501.
The methanol bid, I've had permission to go out to bid, and there's been some discussion, and I've been keeping contact with, I have 5 potential suppliers now, which is actually good, but we're waiting to know exactly when, and I believe on the 19th, next Monday, there's actually going to be an inspection for the fire and tank certifications.
The walkthrough is Thursday morning, this 2 days.
Okay, so it's a
Thursday morning it starts, and the inspection's supposed to be here, and there's some question whether it's gonna take 1 or 2 days, and he'll know, we'll all know Thursday morning how close the contractor really is. That's the last I know.
And I have
The last email I got from John was Thursday morning.
one potential supplier wants to come in on Friday and do his own just walk-through inspection, not turning any valves, just to see.
So
I'm sure he just wants to
go
go.
to walk on the site.
Right. Right, actually, that's a good thing.
Matter of fact, Jacob should be leading them, correct?
I sent recommended comments on the bid spec because I think there should be a 12-month supply period included in that. Even if we don't get any responses, it's prudent to ask.
I think at this point, I will send out the bid and
Which is a big.
have them ready for the next board meeting.
Which option are you gonna go?
1, 2, 3, 6, and 12 months.
That's a board decision once we get the bids out.
Yeah. I thought you said that it's so volatile that nobody's gonna give a bid for
The
more.
way it's done now, they give a calendar month. So if you call, they'll say, if you call on August 1st, they'll say the price for August is this, stops at the end of August. If you call on August 20th, they'll say the price for the rest of August is this, stops at the end of August. Nobody does it in a 30-day period. It's all calendar month because it's based on whatever the commodity index.
My concern is that you go out for you go out for these types of bid, and everybody comes back with a 1 month bid. You're gonna be out there, re-advertising.
We have a 2-week
That's
window.
what we're gonna have to do. That's the procurement requirement.
That's what I had set out another.
I think it's important to note that in our past experience, when we advertise for bid, rather than somebody calling for spot pricing, we have gotten bids for a year at a time.
I think they'll provide it, but the price will be, 30-day, or 1 month was $1.50, 2 months is $2.50, and up and up and
That's
up.
why,
So somebody will bid a year, but $12 a gallon.
That's why we have to advertise and get the bids and see what we
Please. There was another thing I had circulated around where a wastewater facility in Connecticut uses the same product, it's 99.85 methanol. They go out with an annual bid to pre-qualify vendors. From those vendors willing to participate in their program, they then email a bid request every month the lowest respondent gets that month's purchase order, which is considered a contract for 1 month.
Right.
It was just a different way to do it, as far as I can tell. It's compliant with the state regulations.
I'd like to see a written opinion letter from council that that's acceptable under New York law. You know, I mean, before we even go farther about talking about it, let's see if that's.
So pending that, we can go out with the regular bid request, give them the opportunity to bid on any or all periods.
I mean, it seems reasonable and it does give everybody an equal opportunity. You're going out, you're telling everybody what all your requirements are, the delivery requirements, the billings, and all that, so they're all on board, all ahead of time, everybody knows, and they make a commitment for a year that they're gonna be in this program. Then the understanding that the supplier for each month may change. Seems like it's inherently fair. And I think that's all the law requires, that to be fair and everybody put on notice and given an opportunity to participate. I mean, I could look into it certainly, but gosh, it seems fair to me.
I don't know, the Connecticut thing that Charlie sent us, and I appreciate that he looks into it and gets an alternative process, but it talks about having like a mini bid every month based on the master qualifications, and, you know, I mean, you've got to tell us in writing, you know, that that's something we can do under New York law.
It's also something we could look at if the initial bid request doesn't work, that's an alternative. So then that's, you know, if there was a discussion point, I wasn't saying I'll go with that. We certainly don't like the boilerplate.
I don't know why instead of advertising every month, you turn around, and put the stipulation of everybody that bids on the thing. We're certainly asking for a fixed yearly price. I mean, that's the ideal way, and I understand it, but also put in there, if that does not become susceptible to the board, that we'll do a monthly bid processing with the people that bid, picked up and bid, whether they decide to go yearly or monthly, fine. But if, let's say you have 6 contractors, I believe that's what you said, that you had 5 suppliers, okay. So you had 5 suppliers. So then they would all in turn be in that pool that monthly, if we go to a monthly status, that they all qualify to turn in their price. I don't know.
Did you poll these suppliers? Is that something that they'd be willing to?
Some of them are, one of them is willing to go out as much as 6 months in the off-season. Apparently the product's used for de-icing jets. That's when the price is going to be up because there's more demand for it. But the off-season, during the summer, he was willing to go 6 months. The others were willing to go 2. Two of them were only 1 month.
How much this 1 month at a time? Is that something that they would all participate in?
I didn't ask for that because it was just a discussion. I have a feeling, just because of the nature of where they are, there's going to be 2 main bidders back and forth. There's 2 in New York, and I think just because of the transport costs, they tend to be the ones.
I believe every single one, like we had one from Texas, if I read it correctly, that they turned around, they got a pipeline and it's coming right in the station right here. I don't believe that the transportation cost is going to affect it because all of them are going to make a delivery someplace in the landing place in New York.
New Jersey, yeah.
We still have the ability to reject some.
Yes, anything, wait,
Non-compliant
Yep.
or defense into the.
Any bid like that says the board has the right to accept or decline all bids. So with that, I will go out.
Yeah.
At this point, I think as soon as I can get it in, though, it's going to be September.
Okay. Are you through with your business?
2020 proposed budget. There have been modifications. The one in your folder is the one that had been approved in the last joint meeting on August 6th. And I believe there's been significant discussion between Ed, in the Village of Johnson City regarding debt service.
Right. So to put this on the table, I'll make a cover motion, and then I've got two motions to amend that'll be on that. So I move for the board to adopt the proposed 2020 Joint Sewage Board budget consisting of 17 pages and the total amount of $26,648,389 as presented in munis format as the quote next year budget report underscore between each word dated, end quote, dated August 6, 2019, and to direct the business manager to submit the same to the owner's budget officers and the clerks of the owner's legislative bodies on behalf of the board in accordance with section 23A of the intermunicipal agreement for the Binghamton-Johnson City Joint Sewage Project.
Second. Discussion.
I propose an amendment to that motion, and the first amendment has to do with Johnson City's debt service. So I move to amend the motion on the table, Part A, to increase expenditure line, and I'll email you this word.
Thank you. Reference back to Brooklyn.
To, you know, I mean, you can do whatever you feel comfortable with. To increase expenditure line J8130.54001.JG, reimburse village debt service payments by $571,479 to equal a line total of $5,085,997. Part B, to increase estimated revenue line J.42390, governmental entity fees by $507,981 to equal $23,351,798. And Part C, to increase estimated revenue line J.42391, IWWPP permits, surcharges, and fines by $63,498 to equal $1,080,570, such that the resulting estimated revenue and expenditure budgets total $27,219,868. That's my amendment.
Don't you have the second amendment there?
Yeah, we can only go one. They're different. They're different. So.
Okay, all right.
So, you know, this amendment results from trying to nail Jello to the wall, is the best way to describe it. In that, as a part of the budget process, there's various data estimates and data collection efforts, and it took us a while to zero in on the numbers for Johnson City. With the help of the village deputy treasurer, Tom Johnson, the city staff accountant, Chuck Robinson, and you know, I was involved also to get to these numbers today. And I do have the new debt schedule I'm passing around that quantifies the JC numbers. Although I see there's some lines in print on this at the bottom, which is the total. But anyhow, that's what it's based on the front side of it. That's this part of the chart. Okay. There's a back side that's a totally separate topic to save people. Right on just one side of the paper. So this is a number that Tom Johnson is comfortable with. It's supported. You know, that's the important part.
So the total at the bottom, the big print is just adding the rounding?
Right, it's the round number, $5,085,997 even. I didn't realize that.
That's your second motion.
That was the first motion.
The first one.
And it's some, you know, I mean, I don't know if anybody else has any discussion.
Mr. Johnson is
He's okay with it.
okay, I mean, he's okay with it.
Cindy might not be.
Steve, he's all right.
The number he originally gave us was much lower than that.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's really good for the process and for the village taxpayers that we're getting this resolved at this point, rather than having to scramble, a year from now or whatever.
Wasn't it less than $2 million we had to?
Not on the debt service.
No?
More of it.
Oh, okay.
So,
Really, I can do this now?
on the amendment.
On the amendment.
Take the other.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I'm calling the question, is there any question on the amendment? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, carried, 501.
Thank you. And then I move to further amend the motion on the table to decrease estimated revenue line J.4230390 governmental entity fees by $125,000 to equal $23,226,798, and to increase estimated revenue line J.42391 IWWPP permit surcharges and fines by $125,000 to equal $1,205,570, with no change to the total of the estimated revenue and expenditure budgets of $27,219,868 as amended by the previous one.
Discussion? Seeing none, all in
I would just point out the reason for this amendment, just so everybody understands, and I think everybody knows from their email, is that there was an introduction of legislation in the city council last week that amends the scope of work at the Binghamton water filtration plant so that GHG is designing a pipe that's going to discharge the sludge extracted from their settling tanks at the water filtration plant into the public sewer system. So water sewage plant. And that construction may or may not be done until later in the year, so this amount is only a partial year revenue from this kind of industrial waste. And I think it's proved the plan for it, given that it's demonstrated that the owners are intending to go along initially with that type of project. They might amend it, and make some changes once it gets in, if they get some additional grant funding or whatever. But, for some period of time, there's going to be additional sludge coming down to the sewage plant.
I hope it comes slow.
They let us know when.
It'll come every day rather than saved up and
And
coming
come
slow.
in, okay.
That's good, that's good, because that sludge.
The new unit they're putting in works all year round and not seasonal like the old one. So in the winter, it can still send the sludge down. It'll come down every day and not.
Okay.
So we're talking about 2.2 to 2.4 tons a day.
Right, that's okay, that's so.
The characteristics of that sludge is very inert.
We got a
There's no bulk.
motion, we got a second, and discussion going back to the vote of it. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, carried, 501. Now, if there's anything else you want to add to it.
Now we have the budget as amended, which, is the top motion as amended by the two we just passed. And I'd just like to thank everybody that participated in the budget process, from the board members that were involved, from the acting superintendent, acting assistant superintendent, the facility engineer, the head mechanic, and everybody else, our business manager.
Was balance in Excel already? So that's good.
Should we work hard on that? Because I think this is, always a challenge. 63.6% of this total is owner reimbursements. Okay, that's the debt service, the local systems costs, and the flood recovery reimbursement. So it's not a lot of it. It's more than 5/8 of it is going back to the owners, and we're here to serve the owners. So that's certainly not anything that's out of range. but it's important to look at. I don't know if anybody else has any other concerns or questions.
I think you covered everything. Charlie, you got anything else?
Good job to Chairman, Board Member Crum, Chairman of the Finance Committee, for his work, especially with Johnson City.
unbelievable.
I was herding cats.
He's been doing Johnson City's work too.
No, they're doing the work, it's Friday.
And they vote.
Yeah.
Okay, somebody have another amendment or another comment?
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought we did vote on it. Second, discussion. Okay. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, carried, 501.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, that's all right. I mean, now I'm more confused than I ever was by going through all the traces there.
how does this total compare? I know, Andy, you said there's 66% is owner reimbursement.
63.6.
63.
Yeah, 63.
How does, just for my own, how does this compare with the bids out there by,
We're $1.2 million low.
I would.
Well, damn close. Well, no, but we got a lot of other stuff. I bet you we're near $2 million though. Oh, come on. With the plugs in we put for the maintenance and that stuff in there, the valves and all of that stuff that I'm sure is not into the bid that they do. They've got a thing of $50,000 for valve replacements where we know about one valve alone for near $250,000 and repairs and that stuff. And we have a repair contract on the things we have to check. We got money in to buy new trucks and replacement and that stuff. So I'm going to say $2 million.
I did a comparison if you want to see it.
Okay. All right. Oh, that's gonna call me a liar because it's 900,000 or 867, I'm sorry. But I'm sure, but I'm also sure where other things are involved. I don't know who's trucking the sludge or whatever, whether the owners are responsible for that or who is.
I know, there should be one coming around here. Craig's got them.
Yeah.
There's more than one.
Well, whatever. Hey, whatever happens, happens.
But the point here is that when you take out the owner debt, the capital, the flood capital, the accounting service, insurance costs that the owners are going to continue to maintain, and the health insurance on the retirees, you come out to a comparative to contract operations cost proposed budget of $8,673,645, which is more than the four proposals that the owners received on June 26, 2019. However, when you take into account that there's always an end-of-year reconciliation in the final billing, and that this year the preliminary numbers still be worked on, it's 1.2 million for a refund to the users, including the owners. 2017 was 1.5 million, 2016 was 1.556 million, 2015 was close to 800,000. When you take that into account, yeah, it is, except for that 2015 number, and this year just slightly, it is less than the four proposals. So that's, I think, Steve, I think that's what you're asking about.
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Go home and study it.
I will.
That's what I meant. I thought mine was a lot shorter.
But I don't think the numbers are.
Well, I agree. I didn't turn around and I didn't sit down with it.
I like that.
I've got other things to do.
The whole point
Not saying I thank you for your.
is that the money left over at the end of the year goes back to the ratepayers.
Well, no, we should rather let it go back to the subcontractor and let them take it. No, I agree.
The other, The other thing in this regard about capital, George, you started to talk about, on the back of the debt schedule for the village is what we talked about or, discussed at the capital work session meeting that the finance committee had about putting together a long-term funding, what's this one here, for cyclical capital equipment rehabilitation replacement reserve fund. And this is just a sample, it's a draft. We don't have all the information on the new equipment or cost information, so this is really just kind of a really high-level draft. But the idea would be if we're trying to generate $131.5 million over 30 years, and that number is based on, as we discussed, roughly half of the general contractor contracts, because the other half was structures and hard assets that we're not talking about when we talk about equipment. And the electrical, plumbing, and HVAC contractor contracts. That's how we got to that $131.5 million. The assumed long-term interest rate is 2.25%, which is comparable to the NY class, and the last we knew what it was at. And so how this works is kind of like a reverse amortization schedule on a mortgage. Year one, the amount of the capital deposit you need is the present value, backing it down, from 30 years, of 1/30 of the 131 million. So you only need to put in only for this big number, $2.7 million. You're not expecting you're going to take any money out the first year. The second year, the capital you have to put in as the present value as it goes up. You have less years to build it is 2.782 million. We have interest at 2.25%. That's monthly compounding on the 2.7 million from the prior year. And so you're adding 2.8 in the second year. And you're not taking any out. And it goes along like that. And then when you get to year 7, because you have 7-year equipment, your electronic data processing equipment and certain electrical equipment, there's a plan for $5 million to be withdrawn for cyclical replacement or rehabilitation of that type of equipment. That's done every 7 years in this schedule. And so by the time you get to the end of the schedule, you amortize the whole cost of that, those electrical contracts. In year 10, you have a partial withdrawal for some cyclical refurbishments. Year 15, there's another one of those, which is some refurbishments and some replacements. And again, these numbers should be refined by, once we get owners, the owners give us the equipment manuals so that we know more about the maintenance. Year 20, there's a larger component because there's certain equipment that we know, by that point, certain pumps and whatnot that are going to have to be replaced and wear out. And then year 25 and year 30, again, similar. And there's still money in the bank on this analysis, but it could be used up for other things over that period of time. So what you wind up over this 30-year cycle is that you have $131,500,000 in a capital reserve fund or withdrawn for cyclical capital rehabilitation replacement. Just an illustration. There may be other ways to present this once we get more information, which is a preliminary. The point being that somebody put in an RFQ something about $100,000 capital fund per year. It's probably not enough. We know that. But it's a way that we can speak to this with the owners as a part of the project process.
Correct. That was sort of.
Okay. So anyhow,
Okay, so we got
for
that.
information. It's not for anything the board needs to act on now.
Okay, Shirley.
Great. Just informational, in addition to the methanol, the next bid that'll be coming up is hydrated lime, which the current contract expires November 30th. With the board's permission, I'll reach out to our current supplier, just to see if all is steady, before I go through the bid process.
I thought you already got some coming in. Yeah. So why are you reaching out to them if you already?
Because our current contract expires.
Oh, okay.
They may be thrilled that our volume will be increasing, but
Does anybody want to speak to that, Chuck, or anything? Because I understand we were ordered by Jacobs to receive it, to order it and that stuff, but according to the contract, it belongs to Condell.
According to them, nothing belongs to them.
Well, I understand that.
I'm
Including
serious.
the liability.
I'm serious. So this is going to be a process where we start taking away from them. And they just won't do anything they're told to do.
So how much did we order? Did we order
there's
enough for a full
26
silo?
there's 26,000 pounds we ordered, which is about a third.
About a third of it. So I guess what I'm wondering, since in the spec book it calls for that the person that is responsible for it, the contractor, to turn around and to fill it up
It would be great.
at their expense.
I can keep track of what we're doing in invoicing.
Well,
There's a difference between invoicing and
Charlie, why don't you
receiving.
just figure out how big the tank is and what the price would be? That's the number we'll use. So if it's a 20,000 pound tank, what's that cost?
You gave us that last week?
Yeah, it's like 66,000 pounds, I think.
Weren't you going to go ahead and fill it, Kurt?
Yeah, we got more lime coming, we got 13 tons in there now, we've got another 15 coming Friday.
See if
That'll
our
give us-
calculation's gonna be
Gonna get us up about 28.
total to fill everything?
It's 66, I think.
I thought 55 when I figured it out.
The silo itself says 37 tons.
Yes.
Okay, so based on density, the product, what's coming in here, compaction, we might only get 33 in there.
Okay.
So
But
what I wanted to do is get another delivery. Once we hit the high level indicator on top of the silo, I can get the rest in the other silo.
Right.
So,
But
then
at least once you get that one silo full, we will know
Yeah.
how much that the city can go on their pursuit.
Correct.
With dollar value. That's all I'm looking for.
Right.
But I was told by Howard that is a bigger tank than the tag says. That's what Howard told me.
Yes,
It's safety.
Well, yeah, there's a working capacity and a total capacity.
Well,
Different
I
homes.
it might hold,
I don't
but
think
it
that,
said,
I think that one was in stock and the other one was gonna slow them up, and I think that they created a big.
the nameplate right on the tank is what it says 37.
Yeah, right. So we'll see who's correct, well,
There we go. We'll find out.
Yeah.
Elevation certificates, we still don't have flood insurance on the contents of this building because we don't have our flood insurance. They need the elevation certificate that says completed. The one we have says under construction. And it's going to be the same thing now for any building or structure we want flood insurance on. And I'm not sure at this point, is it up to us? Is that up to the contractor?
Don't we need a certificate of occupancy for the town also to get the insurance?
That's for regular insurance.
why wouldn't we turn around and ask our insurance people that are covering us now, those things, whether we can or can't do?
Well, they say, send us your completed certificate of occupancy. It's
The insurance company
that's
says
asking for
that?
it. Yes. And I sent them one that said, this says it's under construction, that's not a completed certificate of occupancy.
I thought you had a temporary.
It's expired
That's it.
for this building. It expired last September.
We have flood insurance on the structure, but not the contents. But there's no contents really below grade here. We're just on this floor.
Well, we got our two shops downstairs.
Yeah, so we're occupying them without,
Hopefully the flood wall is all set. I mean, I don't think anybody has any real reason to lose sleep overnight, at night over that right now. but I could be wrong, no?
Well, if it starts raining, we gotta close gates and shut the plant down. That could make it-
Well, yeah, I mean, there is some
Yeah.
operational requirements to protect it.
Is there anything left in this building that keeps you from getting a C of O?
Who's requested one, or Howard?
You could probably answer
The elevation certificates.
Yeah. So I thought
That has nothing to do with the CO.
Yeah.
That's just
The
about
last I knew, it was holding me up with the parking lot, now that the parking lot.
Parking lot wouldn't have anything to do with the C of O, George.
Occupancy it would.
No.
No.
Maybe the handicap ramp.
Okay. Last I knew that had the lease on there.
Last I knew it was the doors, the problem with the doors and, something with the elevator.
Elevator fire alarms or something like that, which I believe is, we haven't tested them.
Right.
Isn't all that done?
The elevator fire alarms were
Yeah,
tested and
okay.
the two telephone lines. At the door, there was a couple of doors that had to be reversed, or the key was on the wrong side, or
Panic bars.
panic bar. That's the last I knew.
And if you take a look at the punch
Sure,
list,
who's
look at
the point
your
person
trim
with
work
this?
around those doors and that stuff. If you're talking about a punch list and that.
But that
No,
wouldn't,
you're not talking.
that wouldn't keep them from getting a C of O.
Yeah, okay.
Who's supposed to apply for a C of O? I don't know, I'll go do it.
Yeah, I don't know who the point person is on this one.
Ron just said he would do it.
Well, yeah.
So send Ron a list of what you're looking for.
Elevation, the certification of elevation, what is this from? What do they?
It has to actually be a civil engineer has to survey or sign off, yeah.
PhD should do that.
Because the guy working on the river can tell you exactly what the.
Well, if anybody willing to stamp his civil engineer stamp on it.
I don't know why it wouldn't be 845, which is what our flood wall is.
Well, the problem is we had it, but the person that did it checked off under construction instead of completed. Apparently that changes the whole scope of the certificate of elevation.
I'll make a
Good for
visit, I'll make a visit to Vesta.
For the certificate of elevation, let's be clear here, because I'm sure something said it aren't. The base flood elevation has to be surveyed for the lowest occupied floor. And the insurance company, when they have that certificate, they use that in underwrite, because that helps them understand the risk. You know, obviously a building with a higher lowest floor is less of a risk than one with a lower lowest floor.
That's true, but it may not apply here since we have a flood wall.
Well, the flood wall hasn't been certified yet, so when that is certified by, on the flood map, by, you know, on the firm map, by FEMA, then, you know, we're not there yet, that I understand, because, you know, for whatever reason, PC hasn't completed all its work, so that Griffiths could apply for that, or whoever's going to apply for it on behalf of the owner. But anyhow,
The whole flood wall is completed. I don't,
but they have to certify it, there has to be an engineer's certificate on it to go to FEMA to modify the flood map, to take the plant inside the flood wall out of the floodplain. That's what we've been told by Howard Weaver, who's our expert on the FEMA stuff.
So that means they can't happen before JD Excavation removes the haul road?
no,
And those repairs are done to the exterior of the flood wall?
I don't know.
We can still get flood insurance, but the rating classification is higher risk than if there was a flood wall that's certified.
I think everything he's doing is outside of bounds.
He has to touch the flood wall as part of his, one of his chain buildings. He has to remove the haul road, and he has to put in some flapping.
Well, that's the whole flood project to satisfy DEC. I don't know if that all has to be done to certify the flood wall. You know,
Okay,
for what we're talking about,
yeah.
to satisfy the Corps, yes.
Really?
Are you sure?
Jeez.
Okay.
August is
George.
always-
Exciting, wasn't it?
Hey, George, Ron has to get out of here. You guys got any
I was
questions?
just gonna turn around and ask Ron what the status is and let him give the report so he can get out of here.
Okay.
I think in general, the status is that everyone is working towards the 31st. As I said earlier, if all goes as planned, we will make the 31st. There's no hiccups that we don't know about.
Can I ask you a question? Why can't you make the 31st if it deems that you have to put a few extra, they have to put a few extra hours?
It's not that, we still have contractors like Quandel that just says, I'm not doing it. So do we take all that work away from them and give it to somebody else? We've taken a lot of work away from them, given it to other people. We've worked around it. But if there's something in their pot that we've missed, that would be the hiccup.
They're the only ones?
PC, I think, is gonna get their stuff done that we need. And I think the J&K and Matco are gonna get their stuff done that we need. And we have meetings every morning. You guys are there. It just looks like it's coming together, so we're gonna meet that.
You got any other questions of the board? Otherwise, I'll reverse it around and ask the board if they got any questions with you.
Ask away.
Okay, you're through. Okay. Anybody got any questions?
You know, and I appreciate Craig and Elliot's input and their help.
Yeah. Well, they appreciate you too. They got somebody to blame on.
You know, the methanol walkthrough is still Thursday morning.
As far as I know.
Yeah. Just making sure.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, I guess the superintendent's report is next. You did a good job.
Superintendent's report for August 13th, 2019. We discussed the fines already, so passing that one. The flow was down some. July, 14.66. The loadings for CBOD were still over our limit. The loadings for TSS, we actually came in under the limit for the first time in a long time. A couple different reasons. Flow was down, and we started going through the new headworks. And we're not, our CPT is not being redirected through that header pipe they had for distribution of our settling tank. So we feel that with the new injection points for ferric, CPT, the distribution box, and a more even flow pattern into our settling tanks may have contributed to a better percent removal for TSS. So
It's a really big thing.
it's kind of huge. So after August, we'll see what August does, and then maybe the numbers will reflect what we've seen in July. So time will tell on that one. Moving on down to ponds removed for month of July, lime stabilized, 597.28. And to construction topics. Some work that's still pending is the valves for the main pumps. There is a corrective action in plan, but it hasn't been performed yet, so I'm not sure what the holdup is on that.
Keepers, why didn't you ask Mr. Lake when he was here?
Well, I kind of asked if the board had any questions. And
Well, what I'm getting at is something like that, just to ask him whether they got some type of a time frame. Last I knew it was supposed to be taken care of within a couple of weeks of the first
actually,
discovery of it.
we kind of put my report ahead of Ron's report, so he would stick around. That's kind of why we did that.
So he's a married man, he has to hold on.
I
But
think it's important to note too, though, that these the head house valves are in the primary treatment part of the plant, as opposed to, you know, the secondary and tertiary treatment as part of this August 31st deadline. So,
that's most likely,
you know, that may
it's not
be,
hard.
you know,
It's
just
not-
trying to speak up for common sense and you know, what they're trying to achieve right now. That may be what they're doing. I mean, I understand there'd be a major advantage to the contractors doing that work now in a low flow, you know, what appears to be the low flow part of the summer at last. But, you know,
My intentions were
there's many
just
things going on.
point out that
Important
it's
to know
still,
it's still on the
pending.
to-do list.
That was my intention, just to point it out, it's still pending. Now, the sampling manhole slide gate grouting to repair the leaks has been completed.
Would you do me a favor on that? Make sure somebody inspects it every week to make sure it doesn't turn around and start it. Or do you
The only way to inspect that would be to close the gate in the manhole outside of the plant, shut off flow to the entire plant, and then close that valve, and then we open the one on the outside. And we monitored the leaking with JC's camera. You know, it's not our equipment, there's,
Right, I understand.
we have to do that early in the morning
Okay.
for low flow.
Right. Well, is it possible to say within a month or 2 months or so to just do it one time to see if we have a new leakage occurrence under pressure? Because it's normally it doesn't show up unless it's under pressure. That's all I'm saying. And I don't know, does anybody have a calculation when that's closed, how many PSIs are rounding against it?
I believe the contractors know, because the valve was installed in an irregular fashion. And they wanted to protect the valve
Okay,
based on what they perceived coming in.
okay.
So it'd just be a quick shutdown.
Yeah, all right. But it
It'd have to be a
doesn't take
scheduled
that long.
shutdown, low flow condition.
Yeah, but it doesn't take that long, but at least to do it before the warranty goes off of it.
Okay, moving on to other issues. Our microturbines, there's a New York State standardized contract for interconnection of new distributed generation units with capacity of 5 kW or less connected in parallel with utility distribution systems. Oh, it is? 5 megawatts. Sorry about that.
The document's right, it's just that you've got KW inside MW.
Where was I? Distribution systems needed to be, it's going to have to be reviewed by the board and Al prior to approval and signing. So it is in your packet.
You have this in a digital format, you can email?
No.
You only have-
It's available online.
Okay.
Yeah, this one is here.
Yeah,
But
but if
it's-
somebody can
it's
send me the
real
URL,
pages.
because I like to have the digital thing free.
Okay.
The big problem with that is that it allows NICEAG the ability to come in and turn our power off anytime they want. If they perceive that our microturbines are doing something wacky to their power grid. So there's some legal stuff that you would have to look at.
Yeah, they require inspections
Above our pay grade.
and inspections.
Take a look at it, I don't know anything about it, but
It's all right here.
Just something to,
We do have.
before we enter into what we should. look through.
And why is it that we need to enter into this?
It's a NICEAG requirement.
In order to,
Just like connect to the
this
grid.
report says.
And generate power into the grid, you gotta have this.
And also with our generators too.
There will be one of these agreements coming for those. I'm surprised they let us off the hook for the solar power. Which, by the way, has already generated over $2,000.
We signed an agreement for the solar power a long time ago. I remember we reviewed something like that
Yeah.
for the solar.
It was just an agreement that said that we will be using everything that we produce.
I don't recall what it said. It said
We
a
don't
lot.
have more than 5 megawatts in solar.
Now,
See, that's, so we
well,
might be.
what it is under 5 megawatts. This talks about under.
There's
So,
an agreement for higher.
The microturbines are rated
Anything
at
from 0 to
300 kilowatts, and then the generators themselves will be 4.2 meg.
How much money have we generated in solar?
A bit over $2,000 passively. We haven't touched anything. We keep track of it every day. I have logs of it in my office, just in case you were wondering.
Okay, moving on. Quick update on the headworks. All 3 fine screens with both compactors are in operation. There is still some intervals with low water pressure to clean the screens. So,
Is that with the booster system in place?
yeah, we're using plant water, so we do have better pressure. But for some reason, we still get some low pressures to the screens. But there are 6 Y strainers in the system that need to be cleaned, and we clean them. We check them daily. So, but there is,
Every shift.
so there is one though that we can't clean, and we brought that to attention at the meeting this morning. And they're gonna look into having the contractor clean it.
It seems to be a difficulty that we can't get in there to clean it. That one screen,
It's a bigger line, it's a bigger Y strainer, and
The supply to the entire building.
it's a little
So
trickier.
it's a 4-inch line coming in. And we would have to bypass the strainer to all the other equipment that utilizes the water as well. So until we get our effluent going through 1 through 8, and then the DMs and UP, it'll still be a little muddy. You know, basically, everything we're putting in the river now is part of the water.
Once it-
Water.
You know, it's
It will be a lot.
It will be getting cleaned
Glorified
up.
primary effluent right now.
Yeah.
Hopefully shortly it'll be
For
cleaned.
sure, yeah.
Okay. Come August 31st, we're all very, very hopeful that it will clean up.
slide, instead of seeing a cloudy effluent, you could see a clear spot, like we did last time.
That would be awesome.
I'm trying to get out of here at 5:30.
Okay.
Because I have people.
I'll move along.
That are leaving, going back to Texas.
Okay.
Would like to.
The JC sample point, we gotta satisfy the DEC, so I do have to send them some monthly data. They wanna review that data to give us approval that we can use it as a legitimate sample point for reporting. So I'm gonna be sending on some data for July to Tara. She's gonna review it. She may want another month or two yet. But right now, she just wants July to review data. And I'll just keep updating everybody on that as time goes on. Digester 3 is online. It's holding temperature. Heat exchangers are online. Gas burn-off, recirculation pumps are online. And staff is maintaining a feed schedule which incrementally increases weekly based on lab analysis. Gas is being produced and sent out also for analysis. And the digester has begun to overflow into the overflow box, which is overflowing back into our anaerobic digesting holding tank.
That's like we landed on the moon.
Yeah, it is. So that happened last night, actually.
Really? 8 years.
Wow.
8 years.
So, lime silo we did discuss already, and as far as procurement and payment, that's going to get sorted out. So we will continue to fill it. I got some other good news here. An employee, Adrian Trombach from third shift, attended SUNY Morrisville and successfully completed his basic ops and laboratory.
Really?
He has one more course to go to, grade 3 supervision and technical operations in October. And he will be eligible to test for his grade 3 certification in November.
Great.
So it does take a long time to get to that point, 4.5 years, but we got a guy that's potentially could be a grade 3, which we desperately need. We also had a mechanic who attended school, Brian Swan. He's already taken basic ops, and he was interested in going for basic lab, so he just recently successfully completed that course. So, and that's all I have.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Ellie, do you have anything to add to that? See, you don't? No, go ahead.
The only thing I have is unfortunately one piece of bad news is we have 4 breakers, 480 volt breakers that are affected by a recall from Square D. I've notified Jacobs and they're on it.
Okay.
All we have to do is have Square D come in. They'll replace whatever parts are bad. Unfortunately, it feeds our head house gear, so we may experience a partial outage. But I think
Part of the switchgear is that.
that's in the courtyard. Switchgear affects the 2 main breakers, LVS-S and LVS-N, the tie breaker, and MCC-HHS feeder.
I wish you would just go with this protocol here, you go to Ron Bacon, like everyone cares. On anything that you have, because I don't want the board, Jacobs to come to you to tell you to do it, goes to Ron Bacon, and he filters it out. And I believe that's,
Okay.
This is a point order though on the MCC when he's talking about that's on a closed out contract and that's already been Jacob wouldn't necessarily be involved in that.
Then why did he go to Jacob?
Did you?
I thought he reported it to Jacob, that's what he
Yeah,
said.
that Dan Ryan,
Oh, he did.
he was in charge of the electrical.
Yeah, right.
And he was in charge of that project.
Right, I understand.
And we were told not to go to the contractor directly, so.
Right, so, yeah, okay, I understand, but like I said, just to,
Ron, I did.
yeah. Anything else? Thank you. Anybody got a question of the assistant? The only thing I want to say, in case anybody doesn't know here, but our superintendent will be retiring at the end of this month, am I correct?
I don't know. I'm staying another month. You asked me to.
Oh, was that?
Now I'm retiring end of September.
The end of September, yes. Okay. I already see how time flies, I already thought it was time.
You already thought it was September, right?
Yeah, believe it or not. Okay, that's good. Congratulations, thank you for your service. Okay, and,
I will be sending out a letter to all board members.
Should we,
I hope you said anybody to a party, that's what I hope.
Steve, under personnel, should we look at discussing posting the position like we did back, in the winter when we got the letter in January from the prior superintendent? Go through all the process,
Weren't we instructed by the owners not?
not to hire.
Right. So,
Right. Or, and if we hire, it'd be somebody that's acting, right? Because
right, and then
we have to meet the DEC requirements. We can't just stop,
Right.
having employees that meet the grade.
I think you're right, I think we should post it. It's gonna have to be tested. Personnel should be notified.
I mean, they are when we post it. Right.
after discussion, I thought that Elliot would take the acting position and this civil service. I know, I'm just telling you the way, I realize it's not the civil service.
When you send out a letter, make sure you send it to the personnel, so they're aware that there will be an opening, and then they can post it, offer a test.
Okay.
Well, I think you better do it before you decide to send out your letter. I think we should do it within next week sometime to notify them that your retirement to and where we go from there. And I'm quite sure it's going to happen the same way as it did.
That's, you're notifying the owners also.
Right. Okay, board committee reports. You got anything on construction, Steve?
I've been going down on the river once a week, just to watch, monitor their progress down there, and talk to the guy. I knew that there was gonna be a change, I knew about the change order and that kind of stuff, but it's, I just haven't been out. I'm going out for the methanol walkthrough on Thursday. That's
Okay.
what I do.
Do you know what time?
I think it's 10:30. I can let I get an email.
Anything else?
Oh, one other thing, we have to hire a negotiator. We have to hire a negotiator. Charlie, I know you looked to see if there's anything we had the last time. We gotta advertise.
Do we have a scope of what we need done? There's there's a legal type negotiator where you actually have an attorney represent you, or is this more a labor type negotiator? So it's personal, I assume it would be personal.
In the past, it's been a labor relation.
I didn't find anything.
As Al pointed out in last month, you really should have a lawyer look at it. Just to make sure that the language is clear. But in most arbitrations, the intent is what really matters. Most times in arbitrations I've been in, they bring in both sides to see if they can agree on the intent. And check to see if they have any notes or anything like that. As far as the legal language, arbitrations are more interested in solving the problem. But I think that's right. It's got to be a contract negotiation.
Only thing that happened to me is I got served by a summons on the one accident that was over here, and I turned it over to Al, contractors and that stuff. But of course, when somebody gets hurt, they could sue anybody that's got insurance. So I was served there. I turned around, had a special meeting with Ron Lake, LaGorga, and that stuff on the sidewalks, the curbing, in the parking lot itself. They are going to remove some curbing. They showed pictures that the mesh was put correctly, but they didn't do any piering. There were supposed to be 2 phases of piering done on it, and it was supposed to have been water fed daily with special mats on it. And I have pictures here that it was nothing but visqueen, so they're, as long as it doesn't look bad, that they're going to put the contractor on notice who did it, and if it starts flaking and spalling, that'll be a different story that they would have to turn around and come back and do the repairs on it. I went and checked on it because they had no ticket information on PSIs. They wanted a type E mixture, which they got, but they didn't have the PSIs down on it, so I went to Barney and Dickinson and got the records and found out it was a 5,000 pound mix. So I'm halfway confident that even though it was cured incorrectly, they did have a retarding agent in it, and the 5,000 pound mixture makes it me happier that it did it one pop. But there are some bad joints caulking. You can see a gap between the plastic stripping on the control joints and that stuff, and there's about a 1/4 of an inch gap on it already. And you can see where the one corner of the sidewalk has turned around by being covered and drawn up the moisture where the concrete actually curled up a little bit from the other surface that it was supposed to be. And that's all for me. Ed, finance?
Again, we've been heavily involved with the budget preparation, and I thank everybody that participated in that process. And going forward now, that it gets to the owners, they have to have a review meeting by September 10th, and we have to take their action by September 24th. These are the deadlines that are in the IMA. And as far as we know, the budget will be through you, Charlie, and ready to put into them tomorrow, right? So, again, thank you, Charlie, for your help with this too, because you've done an important part of it. And that's basically where we are with finance. And we're going to have to be talking about the health insurance program as we get into the fall. And we continue to move forward, with the programs we have. I saw it in the press this morning. There's an article showing that the state regulators approved for small plans like ours up to 8% increase in the premium for next year. It's different for larger plants, we're not a large plant, we're less than 100. Those are things that, are going to come out when the notices start being received about premiums for next year, so we'll be working on that. There's nothing new to address on full management.
Thank you.
Take care of that bird at the same time.
Thank you for doing what you did on the budget and everything else. Okay, so that's Steve, my favorite. How's the ad hoc committee doing?
Getting caught up.
Ray, do you have anything to share with us? No? Okay. Correspondence, everybody's got a summary of everything there. Anything on old business?
Michelle asked me to make sure, to remind Al, that we have to have an open meeting for rules and regulations. So that should be something.
Oh, yeah, I sent something, yeah.
I
Just
just
public
spoke-
hearing for, yeah,
We haven't approved that at the board level yet to have that meeting, just for a point of order. It was presented to us, but there's, in my mind, there's still some questions. I would vote no on the motion on that right now. But I'm open.
well, this is for a motion set up a public hearing.
I'd still vote no on it because I don't think that there's a foundation for that. I think somebody's kidding us.
When does this have to be in place by?
It has been in place for a few years, so.
This is something to change something retroactively back to 2007, and I don't think that's supported by the truth. I mean, I think GHD screwed up. They're trying to have us, fumble into making amendments that will clear them of whatever responsibility they might have. And I don't see that it's right for us to do that.
I thought the DEC approved. The DEC approved one rate schedule, right?
EPA already has.
The EPA approved a schedule
approved the rate schedule.
there wasn't a rate schedule, it was a limit, no, it was limits, parameters. But it's not something that the board actually approved. So GHD put something in that the board didn't approve. I think that's their responsibility.
So Jason is supposed to be back next month, and before he comes back, maybe we can send an email that, if you let me know what your objections are, so that you can go prepared to address it.
It's not, it's simple, it's just not truthful. There's never a vote by the board. Back in 2007, the way they're trying to make it sound like there was, because the limits that we approved, and I was on the board back then, and I've got the minutes, and I've sent that to Jason and to Michelle and other people, including the whole board, a few months back, was a different set from what GHD submitted.
So where do we go then? That's what we do.
We go to GHD's malpractice carrier. It's not our fault.
But I understand, but we still have to do something about the limits.
But we don't have anything that's been presented to us as a scientific Edwards study that supports what they're claiming it ought to be. And they're trying to retroactively change something that, just wasn't.
So it's my recollection that the rules and regs have limits in there that are not consistent with what the EPA approved.
Or will we?
Well, I mean, it's been so long, there's an inconsistency between what EPA approved and what's in our rules and regs.
Yes.
So somehow, we either have to get the EPA to revise their approval, or we have to get a Edwards study.
Right.
So either way, we have to do a Edwards study. Is that it?
Yes, I think so. Yeah. We need to get an independent engineering firm to do that because, you know, we've got an issue with GHD and we probably have to do that. We may need to get an independent engineering firm in the pre-treatment program because of this water filtration plant thing too. Because GHD can't be on both sides of the fence on it. You know, they're going to be sending the sludge from the river water down to us.
Well, should we be preparing then a proposal, a request for proposals for the headworks study?
I think, you know, we give GHC one more chance to explain, you know, what their position is on the scientific basis for what they say they submitted to the EPA.
Right, so in other words, you're looking at is having another meeting when Jason gets here and putting that as a topic on the
In
agenda.
detail, that's right. We haven't really had a detailed discussion of the headworks analysis.
Okay. And that's what it should be, a letter sent to Jacob, to Jason, forewarning him to give us the details on it.
So you want a detailed explanation of the headworks analysis?
Right.
That they use to support their application to the EPA. You know, I mean, if there's a headworks analysis they did, then send it to us.
I will send them an email and I'll tell them that we'd like that in advance of the next meeting. And be prepared to come to the next meeting and discuss it.
What were the facts that he presented at the last meeting here? He had a study on at least one of the metals, right?
It wasn't a headworks analysis.
I know that, but he was comparing it with, he had something.
He had a comparison of analyticals that would have not met the specs that
Slab testing.
that
Right.
the EPA,
EPA?
I can't remember exactly which ones they were, but which ones would have fallen out of the range that would have been in violation.
So they did some analysis, but it was not a headworks analysis? Is that
Well, I'd like them to come in and explain it rather than try to interpret it, you know. I mean, it hasn't been presented to us.
They're trying to get, to find out whether they did one or not. Or whether they just
There was
wrote
3 metals. Thought he did give us a little report on.
One of the metals he could do with our lab analysis. But the other two, he was just generally saying fell into, they would meet the numbers that we had because they've gone down over the last 15 or 20 years. But he didn't have any scientific proof.
He didn't have any scientific. He didn't do a headworks analysis, so he didn't tell us that there was.
Now, if we've done a headworks analysis, there would be documentation of that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Oh, yeah. That'd be an engineer stamped document. That'd be back in our record.
So that's what we really want to see is an engineer stamped document.
Well, a headworks analysis, yeah.
anything else on old business? How about new business? Anybody got anything in new business?
Just, there is going to be a DEC meeting, modifying our plant permit coming up here in September. And the location is either going to be Cortland or Syracuse.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think Ed, you went to, or was that the
That
TMDL?
was in Chesapeake Bay, but it's, you know, it's the same thing.
Yes.
I went in March.
Okay.
I went to the Syracuse.
You know, if they want a board member to go, if you, as long as my boss lets me take some personal time, so we'll be out of the office.
Your boss gives you all the time you want to get the hell out of the office.
You can ask me.
I'll write you a note.
Any reason to go into executive session? Okay, the next regular scheduled monthly meeting is September the 10th, 2019, at 3:30, Mr. Davis.
I will mark my
Oh, wait a second. We brought this up now. Since the parking lot is now empty and is ours, do we want to go back to 3 o'clock?
I think the idea was we keep time clear.
But nobody, the contractors aren't using it now. Oh, yeah. Oh, well, yeah, but cheapers.
What's it look like at 3 o'clock?
I was here at 2:30.
Spots.
Yeah. There's spots, but you want to keep it at 3:30? I'm just asking. Okay. 3:30.
Motion to adjourn.
Discussion, seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, carried, 5-0-1.